Hey everybody, it's Marc here, and I'm here for a new video, a new episode of Random Reviews, where I review a movie. As you can tell by my baseball cap, I am reviewing the semi-new Pokemon movie, I Choose You. Now this review will have spoilers, so I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not going to hold back on spoilers, it's all going to be out there in the front, and if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Anyways, let's get to it. Now, this movie is essentially a retelling of Ash's original story with a few twists and turns in there. We basically follow, like, even before the opening credits start, we basically follow Ash as he starts his journey with a few slight changes. Like, one thing I can honestly say that they did change was how Ash gets there. A lot of his run-ins with Gary and even his experiences with Pikachu that they just like fly through in the beginning 10 minutes. Aside from that, though, it is still really good, and they do keep a lot of things while making a few things new. There are a few new characters introduced in this movie. Since it has to be a bit different, I'm just going to assume that as far as this movie is concerned, within the Pokemon universe, it's either an alternate universe or just like set somewhere like at some time later. I honestly cannot make any guesses, however, since it's very clear that they're trying to be the start of the show till a certain point. So we have some new characters. We have Susie from Twin Leaf Town that has a Piplup and is basically a very gung-ho kind of Pokemon trainer. She's very simple, and we really don't get to see much of her in this movie. I mean, honestly, she becomes friends with Ash, and it's pretty much all that from that. She doesn't get much experience. A much more interesting character, in my opinion, is Sora, who basically wants to become a Pokemon professor and has a Lucario, and is probably my favorite character in this movie, aside from Ash, of course. Mainly because his whole concept is actually very interesting. In fact, we even go into a few depths of why he wants to be a Pokemon professor, as well as his just general knowledge and how he goes. Basically, these two become the Brock and Misty of this adventure, and they all come together because of one thing. After Ash's very first adventure out as a Pokemon trainer, he ends up getting a magic rainbow feather, and basically becomes, I believe what they're called, the Rainbow Warrior, that is supposed to bring Ho's feather up to one of the biggest mountains in all of the Pokemon world and place it and eventually have a battle with Ho, or so on and so on. During their adventures, they run into an asshole called Cross, who is... I'd like to go a bit deeper into his character, but no, the guy basically is just a jackass that gets a redemption in the end. His whole thing is that he in fact, like, replacing what happened in the regular show, he basically replaces Damon as a person that left Charmander out in the rain. So I tend to think of him as kind of like a fusion between Damien and Paul from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. He is a dick that believes strength is everything, and that you really shouldn't bond or get to know your Pokemon at all. And he beats Ash, well, once, but it's very clear that he is a very strong Pokemon trainer. He gets his redemption in the end. Ooh, big surprise there, but at the very least, I think it was an interesting thing to throw in since we were adding so many new characters. We also have this other Pokemon. I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically a shadow that follows the Rainbow Warrior to help him on his journey, but in reality, in the end, it just kind of seems like a afterthought. He's just a Pokemon that helps Ash realize a few things, and then near the end of the movie, he becomes a semi-villain, and it just seems really stupid and contrived that he's even there to begin with. Anyways, I actually really like this movie. It's the first Pokemon movie I've seen in years. Like, I think I fell off watching Pokemon movies after the Lucario one, which I actually really enjoyed. It's just because eventually reaches a point where it kind of all feels the same. It's usually The legendary Pokemon that relates to one of our characters, most likely Ash or whichever female character is going with him in this particular journey. And it just gets kind of contrived, in my opinion. They get kind of boring. The main reason I watch this is because, like many 90s kids, I grew up watching Pokemon. It was one of my favorite things, and even to this day, I love Pokemon a lot. I play all the video games, and it's just something that I feel is going to be with me my entire life, no matter how old I get. Overall thoughts, it was good. I really liked it. One thing that I found very odd, I saw the trailer once, and I tried not to spoil myself. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I did see that in the trailer they were going to show some Pokemon from both Sun and Moon, Diamond and Pearl, like a lot of different regions, which I do really like too, because, you know, instead of it feeling like a closed off section of the world, like how the whole Kanto journey was for Ash, it's actually a great big world with a bunch of different Pokemon. It's just, it's hard to explain what I mean. It's just, it feels like a much bigger world, and that there's a multitude of Pokemon that people have probably never seen before because they've never left their particular town or city, and it's just interesting in that kind of sense. But beyond that, I really don't have much to say. I think it was good. One thing I will state, though, that I find really, really stupid was this one point where Ash is, like, holding Pikachu, and Ash is pretty much near death. And, like, Pikachu has, like, a real, actual English voice. It's like, I don't want to be in a Pokemon because I don't want to be away from you. And I'm just thinking, like, you didn't need to do that. That is so stupid. Like, maybe it just seems a bit too cutesy or, you know, cheesy to me, but trust me, I like a lot of cheesy things. That was just way too stupid, in my opinion. Beyond that, though, it's a good movie, and if you were a fan of Pokemon and you've watched the series from, like, the 90s till now, then I think you'll really enjoy it. Anyway, that's it for now, so I'll see y'all later.